The meeting will return to order. This is the same meeting we had last night. Nobody came because the weather was not as good as it could have been. And we voted to recess to a time certain, and it's honestly day certain, that day and time being now. Bob, would you like to, light things off?
You're folks from the land. Would you folks introduce yourself? These are from Glendale.
Hi, I'm from Glendale Solar. And R. Jackson, Director of Development from Solar. And Jim Cohen, I work with Glendale Solar.
And Greg Cam.
Hi, I'm Greg Cam, Attorney General Wilson, representing the town for this matter.
He's helped us with the program together. So tonight, I'm going to go through and just make sure that we all understand what TIF is, and I want to go through a little bit of background on taxation in the town because it's important to understand what the advantages of TIF are. So, we'll get rid of that. So, we all know how we get our tax bills in the mail. But what we don't understand is, I guess, unless you really dig into it, is what happens to that tax dollar, or you get that tax dollar once you pay it. So, you may have heard that there is a thing called the tax shift. And it's the result of state policies on revenue sharing and support for education. And in revenue sharing and education funding in the state, based on your ability to pay. So the towns that can pay more, pay a greater share from their own. Those who can pay less, get more help from the state. Now the state implements this program through what they call the state valuation. And the state valuation lags our town assessment by about 3 years, so it's kind of a lagging indicator. So what happens is if you have an increase in your state valuation as a municipality, you get reduced state revenue sharing. You get an increase in county taxes. And then you get reduced state aid for education. And you get an increased assessment for your local share to our regional school district. So, any increase in revenue collected by the town is reduced by about 82% due to the tax shift. And these numbers have been run over pretty hard by myself and Greg and the Glendale folks. So the town gets to keep about 18% of new revenue. The rest of it disappears into the state valuation process. And what constitutes the tax shift is 71% goes to education, revenue sharing is 6.8, and then county taxes is the rest. So it's an important issue, and it's what we're trying to take advantage of with this TIF program. So here's how the various types of properties in town are taxed and what they mean in terms of revenue for the town. So if you've got a house or land, you get assessed by the assessor, it comes up, you got a mill rate, they take out any exemptions that you might have, such as veterans, homestead, whatever, and you pay that to the town based on the assessed mill rate. The town gets to keep about 18% of that. The rest of it goes off to other places. Personal property tax. Now, I don't know how familiar you are with that, but personal property is actually business equipment. And way business equipment is taxed, for the most part, most of the business equipment now falls under what's called business equipment tax exemption. And so the town assesses to your business, if you are eligible for the Betty exemption, you fill out the paperwork, it gets submitted by the town to the state, you pay no taxes on that equipment. None on the exempt equipment. The town gets 50% of the revenue, lost revenue, back in the state. But then the state comes back behind us and does a tax shift based on that assessed value, that 50% assessed value. So what we end up keeping as a net down here from all of that is about 18% of the assessed value down the mill rate. Or I'm sorry, 9%, which is about half of what would be for a house or some other different property. With solar farms, there's two types of solar farms. There's the 50 megawatts or less that work on the community solar principle, which is they sell their electricity directly to a subscriber, homeowner. And they are 100% exempt. That's why the state law. So all they got to do is fill out the paperwork, request the exemption, they get it. The town reimburses, the state reimburses the town 50% of that lost revenue. Now, interestingly, the law says that that property value does not get added to our state valuation. So there's no tax shift involved in these solar farms, like the ones over here does on this property. And the town gets to keep the whole 50% of the revenue. So far, that's our best money earner. You're welcome. Finally, we have the non-exempt solar farms, which we're talking about tonight. That's greater than 5 megawatts, and the electricity is sold directly to the standard offer, CMP. They get no exemptions or reductions from the town or the state. The town can tax them at 100% of their assessed value. The developer pays taxes to the town, that's the assessed value times their town mill rate. And without a tax, this is just like a new house. There's an 82% tax shift that applies to it, and we keep about 18% of the revenue. But if you have a TIF, we can keep 100% of it. So this is kind of the ranking of properties, increased value in properties, and how they benefit the town. So if you've got new Betty eligible equipment, the town reaches about 9%. A new house or building something, we get 18%. And non-exempt solar farm with no TIF, again, 18%. An exempt solar farm, 50%. Now we're getting somewhere. An exempt solar farm with a TIF, 100%. This is what we're aiming to achieve. So what is the TIF? The TIF is when you take the piece of the town and draw a line around it and say, anything that we do within this area, we will shield from the state. Evaluate, the state can't see it, the county can't see it, and therefore they can't give us the negative impacts of state revenue sharing and whatnot. There is no tax shift applied to it. And any increase in value within that boundary gets to be retained within the town. The TIF avoids the 82% tax shift. So there are some limitations though on a TIF, and I'll go over those. You can spend it on improvements within the TIF district, but for this salaries, for school obligations, or buy road or fire equipment. We can spend it on, and some of these are just recent changes to the law, costs related to construction or operation of public safety facilities, costs associated with construction of quality child care facilities, costs associated with broadband expansion, recreational trails, and finally, the credit enhancement agreement. Well, credit enhancement agreement is where you rebate some of the taxes paid by the developer back to the developer. So what's the value of the TIF to Baldwin? Well, we get to keep 100% of the tax dollars within the district to be used as we desire. We can help fund some projects that we think are needed, particularly fire department facilities. And we just completed a study on fire department facilities, saying that our existing three district fire stations are woefully inadequate and not fit to the model that we need to transition to for our fire department. Child care facilities and broadband, which are both things where we put some money if we have it. Bottom line, we can use money. So that's the basis of the TIF. Now, let me see. Go ahead.
Could we use the money to repair this building?
We could use it to repair it as a job fair facility.
Not as a town government center.
No. But right now we're using it for child care. That's only we need to use. And we're just hoping to qualify.
They use the full building.
Well, right. The part that really needs to work.
Okay.
So let me see. I got some spreadsheets here. We don't want to get too far into this. It's not. Yes.
What classification, what tax classification would be, the Mayetta pit? I don't even know what the name is, but the one that's down there.
They're 5 megawatts or less.
There are what?
5 megawatts or less.
Okay. And
So they're in the 50%.
okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, we have 5 solar farms that have received additional units for this. All of them are the 5 megawatts or less, with the exception of this particular one. Where's my little button there? Come on, let's see if I can see this. So this is a spreadsheet that shows a number of things, but one thing it shows you here is these are the tax shifts. That's the evaluation of the overall project.
Is that in one of these packets, Paul?
No, it isn't.
Okay.
Oh, well, it's in the project plan, the bulk application in the back. There's a spreadsheet that looks a lot like it, but it doesn't have all of the columns. That's in here just for discussion purposes. But what it shows is that the increase in assessed value. This was one that creates detail through our assessment officer, and we come up with these numbers as his estimate at this time of what the assessed value initial assessed value will be, and that's $10,598,000, plus another $232,366 for fencing and buildings and whatnot, for a total of $10,837. Now, across here are the tax shifts. This is the projected new tax revenue that the town will get on an annual basis. And for this project, it's $140,000 in the first year. And it decreases as you go down because the solar farms are being depreciated at 3% a year down until you get down about year 23. These columns over here show with a credit enhancement agreement in Glendale, which is what we have proposed, of 22%. So they will get a rebate from the town of 22% of the taxes that they are assessed each year, and then the town receives the rest. And over a 30-year period, it's estimated that we will receive $1.988 million, and they'll get rebated $560,000. Without a TIF, and if the project was built, we would net $727,500. There's a substantial increase in revenue for the town with TIF. Well, let me see. Without the credit enhancement agreement, here's the number for it's $2.5 million. This is with the credit enhancement. We talked about the tax shift, and what this shows here is that initially the municipal valuation changed lags by about 3 years. So there's a period up here where we get the advantage of the increased value, but we don't get any tax shift applied. So do pretty well. All right, so that's kind of the finances of it, and it's the basis by which we did most of our discussions with Glendale. You have the program in front of you, and I'm not going to go through that, but if any of you want to ask questions about it, you want to go through it, we have Greg who's authored most of it with us. You can answer questions. Jim, you want to do your presentation?
Sure, happy to.
Anybody can just on the slide here.
And while you're keeping that up, let me just ask folks here, how many of you have been to a presentation previously or are familiar with the project? Let's see, you all have, is there anyone, so there's no one here who hasn't been through the presentation, so I might go quickly then. So I think I'll start by saying it's great to see you all again. I was here last night as well, not the greatest driving that I've ever had before to get here, but today was a lot better. But I live in Portland in the winter, but the summer, the last 2 years, I spent a lot of time in Denmark, so it's great to be here. If we can go to the next slide, very quickly. And Ari, certainly yell if I miss anything. So the project is built here in Baldwin. A piece of it is going to be in Hiram. So as Bob said, it's one of the large solar projects. And I think the key takeaway and why it's been a good back and forth set of discussions over the last 2 years, we've been working with the town for almost 2 years, is because this is a project, unlike some of the 50% loans, this project here is going to produce power costs that are very low. So all of you are probably experiencing huge increases in your power bills. This project here was the product of an auction that the Public Utilities Commission held. And so the rates are a great deal for the customers of Maine. It's the deal that Glenvale struck, but in order to come in with that low price, Glenvale had to very much sharpen its pencil to figure out how much is it going to cost to build the project, and what are the permitting costs, and all of those costs. And as you can imagine, over the last 2 years, costs keep going up. So all the projections for how much does it cost to put in the solar panels, what are the labor costs that go into building the project, all of those pieces have gone up. Interest rates have gone up. But at the same time, revenues are fixed. And they're fixed for the life of the project, and fixed for the life of this tax increment financing. So the reason that Glenvale has been working with the town is because when Glenvale put together its numbers, it had projections for another cost, which is what will it be paying in taxes for those facilities. And so there were negotiations, there was the back and forth. What is before you today, and that Bob presented earlier, reflects the end result of those negotiations. If you go to the next slide, even, we're going to do this quick, but I can go back and cover these questions if you need. So the bottom line is, this is the column that is in the application, where the town would have a tax increment financing district and get the benefit of not having all those tax shifts. And then the agreement was that Glenvale, through a credit enhancement agreement, would get back 22%. So the town keeps 78% of the tax revenue, Glenvale 22%, and that money is what Glenvale uses to help balance out all of its portfolio costs that allows the project to go forward. And the importance of it is, as Glenvale projects out, and again, we're making projections still about what will it cost to build the project. That $500,000 over the life of the project becomes very important because it helps reduce the risk that the project gets upside down and that the cost of the project exceeds the revenues. So the 22% is the product of negotiation. It helps make sure the project happens. What we wouldn't want to see is if for some reason the project didn't go forward, then we're not talking about any money to the town for the TIF and nothing back. So we're all kind of doing the best we can to come up with what is that right level of shared benefit in that tax shift. And so I think we're certainly supportive of where we ended up. It's a benefit. I can tell you that I'm a former municipal official in Portland and a former mayor of Portland. I learned a lot about tax increment financing in my time, sitting in the shoes of Bob and others on the select board here. And for a town like Baldwin to be able to take advantage, it's great that the law changed to allow that to happen, because towns like cities like Portland have been able to have tax increment financing for years and shift costs elsewhere. So this is an opportunity for Baldwin and other towns to do the same thing. So happy to answer any questions. Ari, Tyler, if I've missed anything, jump in. But since you've all heard about the project, I didn't want to plow over around the corner.
So you said that you completed the negotiation, it's agreed, but I'm seeing problems with the cost of electricity, the cost of how everything is being built, and the materials, the labor, the loans, all of that is shifting all over the place. Is it still going to work out in the end?
Well, Tyler and I definitely jump in, but I think at this point in time, yes, we feel that the project can go forward. So we're really in sort of balancing risk mode here with the credit enhancement agreement. Those additional funds help reduce that risk. There's always a chance that things could go differently. But I think as of where we are right now, we feel like the project can go forward.
And the load for CMP is accurate, they have the infrastructure to be able to handle what you're producing.
Yeah, I'll let either Ari or Tyler jump in.
To your first question, we're still very much committed to the project and seeing it through. As far as working with CMP, it's been in the process. The process was initiated in 2013. We worked with CMP and the grid operator to study the project. So that process initially took 2 years. Then the project nearby pulled their application out. That triggers a restudy. So that's been going on for about another year. That completed, and then a second project pulled out. So that has triggered this second restudy. And we still think that we have, like I said, still think the project. We still think that we have, we still think we'll go forward. But anything we can do at this moment in time to increase that chance that that's go forward is something that, we think is beneficial for the project and then also for the system.
So you're thinking that with all of the people that suddenly jumped on the bandwagon to put in solar farms, and some of them were told they're not gonna be able to go online and have to do it in batteries, and then store the energy to then put on. So you're not talking about that, you're talking about actually connecting with the infrastructure now and moving forward.
Yeah, so we would expect it to be to operate on existing infrastructure. With all of our projects, we have been looking at the addition of batteries, and we think there could be benefits to that, but, big joint construction wouldn't necessarily contingent on that.
Like to hear from you fellows on this and possibly from our advisor. One of the things that companies, all kinds of companies do, is come into a town or a city with a big project and tell everybody that there's going to be lots and lots of tax revenue. They get set up, a couple of years later, they send a SWAT team of lawyers in and decide to challenge the assessment, the tax assessment, and push everything down. I'm sure Walmart is famous for doing that, but they're not alone. Is there anything in the TIF enabling legislation that would prevent that? Is there anything in the agreement, such as we have put together, that would prevent that? And is there anything in Glendale's way of doing business that would say, no, sir, don't ever do that? If you could address that, and then
I'm happy to answer, but I'll certainly defer to Bob or Greg, Peter, if you want to jump in first.
I can answer on the statute and the development program, they don't address that. They really rely on an assessor to assess it.
if they had called me from Augusta, I'd have brought it up for them.
Well, I'm not going to say what the legislature was thinking about. I think that there's a reliance on the independence of assessment.
I can tell you, we have Coleman County assessing, Ben Thompson, I'm sure your folks have met, and he kind of throws through the ringer in getting his original assessment to set up the spreadsheet. And what is the initial assessment? What is the captured asset value going to be going in? He's adamant that he used the standard loans that he always uses. And based on initial going in kilowatt hours and so many cents per kilowatt hour and depreciates 3% a year. I don't see him changing his opinion on assessment over time, but in 30 years, I'm not going to be here, he's not going to be here. You can't say that that will change. And I don't know that anybody can say that. But that's the process is what you see in the spreadsheet is the initial estimate. Every year, you're going to do another assessment, and the tax bills are going to go out. And there's going to be another mill rate. This is not guaranteed that it's going to be taxed at 13% or 13 mil these things are fluid to some degree.
But what I'm thinking is if the pitbull lawyers were to come into town, basically it's town Baldwin's problem to defend ourselves against.
Yeah, this is always is, but we've had pitbull lawyers come and look at our other, money makers as well.
When you folks have to say about that?
Yeah, I mean, I certainly agree with, both Greg and Bob. I guess in two ways. One is, what is the value ultimately is what it is. And I think the assessor for the town has come up with a reasonable value. In 3 years, maybe somebody has a different view of what the value is. The assessor might come back and say, I think it's worth more, it might be worth less. There could be a disagreement about valuation, but there are some basic principles. Not to get too wonky about valuation, but the income method, the cost method, comparable sales. There's a pretty good track record of what solar farms should be valued at. So I think that's what the town assessor has looked at. I don't think that there's a ton of room. There are a lot of projects where there's probably a lot more uncertainty. This is probably not one where there's uncertainty. But yeah, there could be disagreements over time. If there's a disagreement, I think the question is, how are we better off with the TIF and credit enhancement agreement in place or not? Whatever the value ends up being, say, 10 years in the future, the TIF will still shelter whatever that valuation is. All of those tax revenues, whatever they are, will still be 100% retained and then shared as between the town. So the town is still better off in the model of having the tax increment financing credit enhancement agreement, whatever that value is. But I can't tell you sitting here that I know what it will be in 10 years.
And it's probably not a good thing for you to do as a representative of the company you work for to say that you won't call it a pitbull.
Well, I
wouldn't, but I wouldn't say that, but.
It is, I mean, it could be, there could be disagreement, there absolutely could be. I wouldn't stand up here and say that no matter what, a town assessor and a taxpayer are always going to agree. There could be disagreement, I've seen them plenty of times, and there's a process to work them out. I just think that realistically, the margins for those differences are probably not that great.
One thing I wanted to address was, because I thought it would come out and maybe it's in your mind is, I would agree on 22%. The number 22% for the value of $560,000, I think was pretty close to what they asked for when they first came to town. Said, we want a little solar farm, we're looking for a credit enhancement agreement that will return us about this amount. So what we ended up with was pretty close to that amount. The initial valuation of the property has changed a little bit depending on how you look at it and how you have it, how much fits in Baldwin and how much fits in Harmony. But then we got to the question of what is fair for the town. So I looked around at some of the other solar farm projects that are using TIF, and there's one down in Saco, I think, the Saco Airport project. They did a TIF. The captured revenue for the developer there is 37%, significantly more than Glendale within this project. I didn't have the TIF application, but there was one up in Oxford, and I got this information from the paper. This was from 2019, I think. So at this time, the town is looking for a credit enhancement agreement in line with other CEAs offered in town. The proposed credit enhancement agreement would be a 15-year contract, which would allow the town to capture the first $500,000 in new assessed value. The town then recovers 25% of the remaining value, over $500,000, and the other 75% would go to the owner. The actual financial return of the town company would depend in part on how you assess
put that type of a contract into a spreadsheet, and it turned our agreement upside down. So the assessor would be, or the developer would be holding on to $2 million, and the town would get the $500,000. So, with that, so, I think we've done okay in terms of what's reasonable. The other thing, though, is I've heard from people talking about TIFs in the past about what's equitable. Why are we giving this newcomer now a TIF or a tax break when we don't do it with the other businesses in town? And I'm going to tell you that we do. We just went through all the various business exemptions and whatnot. And I will give you a couple of examples. These are the bigger businesses in town. Your favorite one is First Properties of MTW. They were assessed machinery and equipment under the personal property tax assessment, and then they're also assessed on real estate. And so their total assessment is $3,561,000. Exempted amount for machinery and equipment, $771,900. That's a 21.6% exemption rate. We're in line with what we're doing here, so we're not getting treated badly. Leamington Lumber. Their assessed value overall, everything added in is $4.5 million, with $1,179,800 exempt. That's 26% of their taxes are exempt. There's other property holders in town. Most of the personal property ones with equipment are paid in billings, it's a few $100s. But CEA's property will contain this good portion of it. He has a personal property assessment of $958,838 is exempt from the fall. So we're not giving them treatment that isn't applied to others. We're not doing it directly ourselves, but state law exempts most big business owners one way or another. And then finally, I wanted to read this to you. It's a little bit long, but this is out of an article published with State Law Review. It was written by a professor, I think, at Southern Maine Law School. And this is just one article, one item out of one article that says Maine TIF's laws have received criticism as being amended for municipalities to underwrite revenues so that they can receive more funds from the state. I don't quite follow that way, but this is because TIF shields new values and the resulting revenues that stem from within the district. State revenue sharing depends on how much revenue a town produces. And under Maine's ad valorem tax system, revenue is intrinsically tied with the overall assessed value of all the properties in town. Some argue that it essentially forces less savvy towns to subsidize the more successful towns, which tend to be larger and have less actual need for economic incentives to attract business. The obvious response from TIF proponents would be that these problems stem from revenue sharing and not from TIFs, and that any town can create a TIF. The argument is, however, that TIFs have a disproportionate impact because it's mostly urban towns or real towns that have TIFs in Maine, thus shifting the burden to mostly rural communities, which are unlikely to have the need or the resources to create a TIF. The argument, in essence, is rural communities are subsidized the bigger ones through TIFs. And if we can have a TIF, we'll take our place at the top. So, we need the money. I think we'll work on it.
Do we have to state ahead of time what we're going to spend the money on?
It's in the development program, and
lists where we've identified where we're gonna spend the money. And we've identified, fire department facilities, childcare facilities, internet access to units, and a lot of we're gonna break down the list, we're reallocating money to it. Now, what happens is, if the project goes, if this going forward through, gets in place, you get down the road a while, and your priorities change, you can submit the, amended project to the state.
So they have to approve what we send them.
Yes.
And who are the they?
ED.
Who? Oh, okay.
So we get the same percentage as the valuation goes up and down. They put in batteries, I forget now, there's a couple of facilities on that project for batteries, couple of buildings. Not a lot, but you might amend your CUP and put more batteries in. So that can vary the amount of money that we.
I don't know, we can recognize that. The way the TIF works is it's on the initial, assessed value, and then the improvement when you first start. So that's what we're looking at. But if you come along and change the project, how does that? Well, I mean, if the project changes, then, the assessment could change. Right.
That's what I was thinking. So the percentage that we would capture would stay the same, but the valuation would change, and we are,
More or less.
the dollars might change.
The percentages on CEA are constant.
Okay.
And they based on the increased assessed value, which changes.
Yep. Thank you.
So I had one, additional, different sort of question. I've noticed that the solar people that start the project, then build the project, then run the project, tend to shift into other people, and not the same company. Through all these changes, does everything that we're looking at stay the same?
So I think the short answer would be yes, but I would probably turn to your town's lawyer to confirm what I say. But I would believe that the agreement in place would follow whoever would own the project. And I think you can talk more about Glendale's plan.
You are correct. It is often the case that the company is better at financing projects and getting construction. Typically, that company isn't going to be the best to perform the construction. And then, as far as the long-term owner, it oftentimes makes sense for somebody that's going to be around a much longer time. So, Glendale being 14 people, we're growing a little bit, but for a project that could last 7 years, a longer-term owner would probably make more sense. And so, what we do is put all the agreements in place that those owners will be tied to for the life of the project. I guess still do the same.
Yeah, so
That's great.
the CEA would stay the same. If Glendale sold the project to somebody else, how that transferred to the new assignee would depend on the agreement between Glendale and the new developer or the new operator. Right.
And is there any shift over time, increase in prices, other sort of taxes, situations with the state or the feds or whatever? How does that impact our deal?
So I think that, and again, Greg, jump in, but the way I would look at it is the deal wraps around whatever the tax revenues are. So if valuation goes up and whatever the town uses as mill rate will produce a certain amount of revenue. And those revenues will come to the town. But the sharing agreement that's in place will still say the town gets 78% of those revenues, the developer gets 22% of those revenues. So whether it's higher or lower than what we project, that same sharing ratio is in place. And then as far as costs that the developer might have over time, unless that impacts tax revenues, the town really wouldn't care. The developer would care because they might be making or losing money. It might also, there could be, if there were changes in revenues, maybe that affects the valuation. So if the project made more money and the investor said, you're making more money, the project should have a higher value, the town would get 78% of that, the developer would get 22%. If I misstated anything.
No, again, the terms and the percentages are constant, you know, the excess value is the variable.
Are there questions of us? We'll still be here.
Anybody, anyone, questions, comments? You going to have it?
Well, we appreciate the opportunity to be here, and folks have questions even after tonight. We're happy to try to answer them. And I think we're back next week.
Next Tuesday night at 6 o'clock. Is it here? Yeah. And we can vote the TIF application I presented.
If there's nothing else, before the assembly will close the public hearing and we'll adjourn and be here Tuesday night, next week, at 6 o'clock, same location.
Thank you all for coming.
That was gavel,
Very, very official.